So here I'm upscaling a FLUX AI image I created, and of course I'm using Topaz Gigapixel AI to upscale it. So here we've got an image on the screen of this car, and if we go down we can see the original image size is 1216 by 832 pixels, which is pretty typical for something like FLUX or AI sort of image gen software. That's, you know, they're around that kind of size that they would normally spit out as default. So we've got this image here. I'm going to come over to the side and start with the resize mode at the top. I'm going to leave it on scale, and I'm going to put 4 times for this example, because I think that 4 times upscale is a good all-round point to start generally, unless you have any specific reason to go much bigger. It's a good catch-all size. And I'm going to go to the AI model now and try and figure out which would be best for this particular image. But before I do that, I'm going to change the preview screen to side by side. So you can either use the icon in the lower control panel here, or you can go up to the view menu and go side by side view. I'll just do this at the moment. I like using this while I'm changing the parameters real time, just to get some instant feedback. So for this kind of image, for this kind of clean AI generated image, I'll find that it's either going to be standard V2 or high fidelity V2 that does it for me. So I'm just going to quickly flick between the two. And what I'm looking for is not only what's going to give me the best details, but also are any of them over crunching sharp edges and things, because even though I've got all my settings down here to the minimum, sometimes you'll find that one of the models gives better details than others, or has a negative impact on some of the edges. So here, and this is a very small thing, so you might not even notice it with the YouTube compression. I'm just going to zoom in. Look at the edge of this window here where my cursor is, that hard edge. Now, if I flick over to standard V2, give it a second to update, and look at the steering wheel as well. And if I go to high fidelity V2, it looks like it's almost over sharpened to me. So if we go to the back, these are all very small details. This won't apply to a lot of images. A lot of the time I will use high fidelity V2. But if again, I look at this back line of the car with high fidelity V2 now, it's almost got like a little black outline around it, as like what you would have if the image was over sharpened. So I'm going to go back to standard V2, and it's actually, the line's still sharp, but it's not got that black sort of haloing to it. So it just looks a little bit more natural. So in this instance, I'm going to stick with standard V2. So I'm just going to put my view back to the full screen view and put the magnification back to 100%. So now I've chosen the AI model, of course, we'll come down to our settings. Minor denoise. The image doesn't really need any. It's not got much obvious grain or noise. Certainly not that's present after the upscale. So we'll leave that. Deblur, I'll come back to that. Fixed compression. There's no obvious compression to me. Maybe there's some... No. There's no obvious compression to me, but there has been a slight bit of texture introduced to the door that seems to be... I don't think it's compression, but it's definitely something. You see on the door, you've got these... Yeah, no, there are compression artifacts. If I hold down the left mouse button to show you the before, you can see around the door handle on the door, there's just some little crunchy bits, and they've mostly been dealt with by the upscale and this little adjustment. But I'm just going to put the fixed compression up a little bit more, and you see all that nastiness kind of goes away from the door and around the handle. So a little moderate amount of compression fix on this. But if you go higher than you need to, you'll just end up damaging the quality of your image. And now what I'm going to do is minor deblur, which is effectively sharpening. So now we're just going to drag this up, making sure we don't bring back any of the really nasty edges that we were trying to avoid by using standard V2 in the first place. And to go any further with the sharpening than this, I would do it in a post-processing software like Photoshop or Photopea or something like that.